Our names are Lucas and Julian. We're both two senior students at the Columbus School. Since young, we've both strived to make big changes in the world, and we saw the Innovation for Social Change project as the perfect opportunity. So we sat down to brainstorm a change in Colombia that would in the long run impact thousands of lives for the better, deciding on a social change that had to do with education. After analyzing our idea through the compass theory, and looking at all economic, well-being, society, and nature fundamentals, we finally could start looking for a company to plant our idea in. We managed to get in contact with the Centro Democrático political party, and now the rest is history. Our journey began May 12, 2019, a Sunday morning when we headed to José María Córdoba Airport in Rio Negro, heading to Bogotá. It wasn't until Monday, May 13th, that real work began. As early in the morning, we headed to Plaza de Bolívar in Bogotá's city center. After arriving, we headed to the national capital of Colombia, which is the seat of the National Congress, the highest legislative body of the Republic of Colombia. Inside, you can find both the Senate and the House of Representatives. After entering the national capital, we found ourselves in some sort of lobby that separated both the Senate and the House of Representatives. This is the spot where we agreed to meet our sponsor. The House of Representatives is one of the two chambers of the Congress of the Republic of Colombia. It is part of the legislative branch. The chamber is a collegiate body of direct representation that is elected by popular vote every 4 years. Currently, it's composed of 165 members.
After meeting with Said Gomez, a law advisor for Enrique Cabrales, a representative of the Congress, we started a long tour through the national capital. The first door found enters the office of the General Secretary of the House of Representatives, which could be argued to be the most important man in the whole Congress.
This is the patio of Rafael Núñez, an ex-president of the Republic of Colombia. The door you see here is opened every 4 years as a new presidential term is started. This is when the inauguration of the president, he enters through that door into the House of Representatives. As you can see here, this is a statue in honor of Rafael Núñez. And also, this is actually the front face of the building of the national capital. It was built facing south, as they believed Bogota would develop to the south of the city, but it actually developed the other way around, to the north. The capital also faces the House of Nariño, as you can see here in the picture. Throughout the national capital, you could find art pieces and quotes of memorable moments in the history of Colombia, like the one you just saw, which marks the day that slavery was abolished. We were now entering into the left wing of the national capital, where the Senate could be found. We later arrived to the offices of ex-president and Centro Democrático's political party founder, Álvaro Uribe.
The office of Álvaro Uribe had his own waiting room because people had important matters to discuss about Colombia.
We later arrived to the place where congressmen meet to litigate about bills and measures to be implemented. Congressmen meet here 2 to 3 times per week in order to make some of the most important decisions of the country. We were given private access to the press section of the chambers. We then left the national capital and headed our way to the new building of Congress that was built in 1979. As the number of congressmen grew in size, it was required for a new building as the national capital has run out of space. In here you can find the 7 commissions of Congress in which they litigate weekly.
Before talking about the various solutions that we came up and the multiple projects we had in mind for the Centro Democrático, I would like to talk about what made us think that education needed restructuring in the first place. The world is fast-paced, with plenty of technological advancements coming in every day. And the last industrial revolution that has come is the fourth one, a wave of technological advancements and algorithms that will make plenty of jobs useless, such as a gas station worker, factory worker, or a farmer. People who have repetitive tasks that can easily be replaced by a machine. After all, we live in a consumer society, a capitalist one, where entrepreneurs look to maximize their profits. A machine doesn't need lunch break, a machine doesn't need vacations, and a machine doesn't need healthcare. So there is plenty more to make in businesses. These people who will be left out without a job will have no place in society, and thus, we need to implement new skill sets that will prevent this. Skill sets such as analytical ability and creative ability and critical thinking. Things as leadership that will help people never to be replaced until AI comes along, which is still a couple of years away.
After the tour, we sat down with the representative and his team to engage in an eye-opening conversation about our ideas for the social change.
The problem that arose was the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Fourth Industrial Revolution is an advancement of technological waves that will render plenty of jobs useless. In order to combat this problem, new skills need to be implemented into education, such as critical thinking and leadership skills, which are irreplaceable by the machines. Anyways, we came up with plenty of solutions to try and solve this problem. These are the following. Our first movement consisted of No Soy Un Número, a movement which was inspired by director Ruth Allen after having the feedback fair. In the feedback fair, she suggested that a movement would be the most effective way of reaching the youth, maybe using an Instagram page. This movement explained how standardization tests broke the mold in education, and how they didn't show the true capabilities and intelligence of any student. Instead, there was to be a new movement that in some way promoted critical thinking and leadership skills, which would be needed for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. However, this idea was shot down because it required time and patience, something that Julian and me did not have. We wanted to create a change the fastest way possible. That's why we moved on to the next idea. After disregarding the movement because it would take too long, we came up with a much more ambitious idea of making a law project. A silhouette for a law that is discussed in Congress to be passed on or not. In order for any citizen to do it, the 5% of the electoral census has to sign this. This meant that we would need 5% of the electoral people, everyone who votes, to sign and be in agreement with what we had to offer. This would be a process that would involve money, time, and quite a bit of power, because we would need plenty of people to stand on the street and sign our form and explain it. These are resources we didn't have, and it was much easier for the Centro Democrático to, in a later future, take this idea. This was a long and ambitious project. Nevertheless, the team of the representative thought it might be a great idea to meet in the future and speak with a representative because it would be something that he would be interested in. Finally, we moved on to the last one, which was the final one. Finally, as we sat down and discussed all the possibilities, the most aid that could be granted by the Centro Democrático was a forum to take place. A forum to take place where different politicians from the party could go and talk, based on experience. This was the best idea yet because it also implemented that the Centro Democrático could be fully involved. In the other ideas, it would be more independent and wouldn't have as much of involvement of the party. We wanted an idea which coexisted with the party. Thus, we created a forum on the 31st of May in the school, where students would attend and learn on the importance of leadership and critical skills spoken by politicians. After summarizing and going through the whole process, we reached the best idea which could be done in the shortest term and would create the most impact, because the other ideas weren't as viable and took more time to do.